Hello, hello, test, 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 test. Okay. Okay. じゃあお願いします。
Well, while we are waiting for the last moment people, they are still coming. I want to just take a little moment to thank you. We are very honored to have Mr. James Whittaker and SIJP and you for this lecture. Right now, the school is a very much admission season. And then I appreciate Kenji-san to give us a little moment to kind of introduce and show you who we are. And my name is Yuka Shimizu, and I'm the founder and owner of the Bellevue Children Academy and Willows Preparatory School. We founded in a school in 2000 and start the student only 10 students. And now we are serving 700 students. So I just want to show you our information of the school. I hope you enjoy. Since I'm from Japan, we also teach Japanese math in our school, and they are really showing a very great high academics. And we are very happy to see tonight we have parents. Their children also came to our school also. The picture kind of go backward, so. So right now we are the candidate school of the International Baccalaureate program. And this is our mission statement. We have a pre-kindergarten and the BCA1 for kindergarten and first grade. And we also opened a middle school. We also have the Saturday school. We established a very unique English method. And again, this is the very beginning of the math education from Japan. And then following picture is just a daily school. We are serving from the pre-K, which is 4 years old, to the 8th grade right now. And our recently purchased 17 acres building in Redmond, and they are the home for the 6th to the 8th grade students. We also have a bilingual kindergarten program as well. We have a sports team. Through the IB, we also have a lot of community connection. And we always appreciate any internship from the UW student. So you are welcome to kind of apply for any internship position to our school. I have a little information in the back with my business card, so please stop by. This is a Willows school. We have, again, like 17 acres. And we are start building for the community center to open the dormitory, also the sports field to open to the community. So thank you so much for seeing our presentation. And I will happy to introduce the SIJP Hirofumi-san.
Just a moment, please. So I'm going to introduce about SIJP for a few minutes. So thank you for coming to our event. So we are SIJP, or Seattle IT Japanese Professionals. So we are NPO group of Japanese people who support the Japanese IT people and also non-Japanese people occasionally. So basically, we are doing some events and other things to help Japanese IT people and also non-Japanese people for networking and help people's career success in the career. And we are an NPO organization with 501c3. That means if you donate some money to SIJP, that will be tax exempt. So if you have any extra money, you know where to go. So we have several projects and events, and very often we have Japanese speaker do some lecture in Japanese. And sometimes we have non-Japanese speaking lecturers, yeah, like today's James, to have some events in English. So if you go to sijp.org, you can have information. There are a bunch of Japanese characters, and you can treasure hunt some English information too. Okay. So before going to the future presentation, we appreciate BCA Bellevue Children's Academy for providing this great place to have an event, and also Itoen, which is the drink company that serves Japanese tea. So there are free Japanese tea over there if you're interested, and please take a look. Okay, now feature presentation, James Whittaker.
What's next? Here we are in an institution that trains kids in probably the best way you can, STEM, right? I have news for you. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how good your grades are. I don't care what you've learned in school or outside of school. If you can't answer the question, what's next, someone else is going to, and they are going to pass you up. It's not going to matter what you know. In fact, what you know has never meant less than it does today, because today we don't live in a society of knowledge possession. Today we live in a society of knowledge acquisition. The things you need to know, we don't even know how to label yet. The things you're going to be working on in the future haven't even been invented yet. Young kids like this, what they are going to do, the titles they are going to have, the jobs they are going to do, we don't even know. It's not about what you know. It's about how fast you can learn. It's about your ability to answer the question, the question, the question, the question. I'm totally blaming it on Google Hangouts, and you know I am. The question. What's next? So what is next? You either see the future coming or you chase it for the rest of your careers. At an individual level, you'll do this, and at a company level, you'll do this. Because in the 1980s, what was next caused a whole bunch of companies to lose. Think about the companies that were big in the 1980s. DEC, Unisys, IBM, Sperry, Wang, all of these companies built machines, built hardware, because hardware was the thing in the 1980s. But if they failed to answer the question, what's next, they lost. And when was the last time you heard from all this? IBM is the only one of those companies still alive. And they're not making hardware anymore. They're not doing what made them famous in the 1980s. What was next? In the 1980s, here's how the world worked in the 1980s. In the 1980s, companies bought big machines. There would have been an adjective in that, except there's kids around. They're big machines. And they hired a bunch of programmers to code on them. And then when another new machine came out, which Moore's law predicted it would, they reprogrammed it with different programmers. So what was next wasn't what was current. And that's what you've got to get in your head. You got to stop thinking about what's now and start thinking about what's next. What's next in the 1980s was something that wasn't hardware. You can't keep building computers and hiring programmers to program them. There's got to be something else. What's next was a layer of abstraction in between that hardware and those people, so that every time the hardware changed, you didn't have to change the people too. The people didn't have to do. What's next was that middle layer. What's next was software. What's next was the operating system. And what's next is what Microsoft got right. They understood that it was software. And all the hardware companies went away. And throughout the 90s, watch carefully. All of these what's next come in 10-year increments. As reliable as Moore's law, they come in 10-year increments. So if you want to know what's now, look 10 years ago, because that's when it started. In the 1990s, it was about software. In the 1990s, it was about how do we take software and make people really productive. So it was things like Office, it was things like Visual Studio, it was programming, it was office automation. And then what happened? People got used to it. They thought, this is the way it's going to be forever. Just learn to code in Pascal and C, and you'll be good. But then the world changed again. 10 years later, the world changed again. And I worked for Microsoft, and we missed it. We tried to convince ourselves, we tried to convince the world that, no, this whole web thing, it's a Windows app. That's what it is. See, look at it. It's right on your desktop. It's a little blue E. Are you buying this? See, you can't focus too hard. The harder you focus on what's current, the more you're going to miss the next decade. Microsoft missed it. Right? What's next was the web, and the killer app was information retrieval. Search, we call it now. Back then, we called it information retrieval. It was how to find stuff on this thing. Now, I was a Google employee when we failed to answer the question, what's next? See, there's a problem with owning the present. The present begins to seem really comfortable. You start getting really good at the present. You're able to monetize the present. You're able to be better at the present than anybody else. And it's addictive, man. It is really addictive. I remember that day in 2009 it was. I was a Google director, and Larry Page had this awakening, right? He saw the data. He called us together and he said, we have a problem. What's next is not what we're good at. And he showed us the data. We took a look at the data, and the data was conclusive. People using iPhones weren't using browsers. People using iPhones were using apps to search the web for them. This is a big problem if you're a Googler. Huge problem if you're a Googler. How do we make, in 2009, how did we make 97% of our income? Through a browser. You had to be in a browser. We had to be able to sell a link. We had to be able to sponsor an ad. We had to be able to show you something that you clicked on for us to make money. The fact that in 2009, the iPhone had only been out for 2 years and the data was conclusive. iPhone users weren't using browsers. They were using apps to search the web for them. Let's say you're a soccer fan. What are you going to do? Search for soccer scores on the web where the browser forgets who you are every single time you go? Or are you going to install a soccer app that understands what your favorite team is, and that even when you're offline, it can start searching the web for you, finding scores and information about it? Apps were better. Did you notice what happened in 2009? In 2009, what's next began to happen. In 2009, browsers and search became more app-like. Did you notice that? Come on, if you search for, before 2009, if you search for what time is it in Tokyo, Japan, what'd you get? You got 10 blue links about Tokyo, Japan, and time. In 2009, what did you get? You got the time. Because we had to match, Google had to match what apps were doing. If you had a time zone app, it gave you the time in Tokyo, it gave you the time in Auckland, it gave you the time in Amsterdam. Didn't do that before. It did that because it was forced to do that by apps. You see, the future drags the past along with it. And just like Microsoft had to follow Google into the web, Google had to follow Apple into mobile because mobile was what was next. And so now here we are. Mobile's almost 10 years old. If you start it when the iPhone started in 2007, we've got a year, a little over a year, until mobile has run its course. There is no better time than now to ask and answer what's next. 10-year increments. So what's next? Well, that's what this talk is about. But we're not going to stay just in the 2020s. We're going to go a little further than that. We're going to start probing into what's going to happen 20, 30 years from now. Because this is what I want you all to do. I want you all to be able to understand what's next, because it's not about what you know now. What you know now has never meant less. What you know now is already obsolete. I want you to be able to learn what's next. So we're going to talk about the future. We're going to take a scenario and we're going to sort of cast it into the future, because these 2020s, they're on us. They're now. And young people like this, what is she going to do when she graduates? We don't know. Is STEM going to be important then? Or will the machines be doing that and something completely different is going to be? We don't know. Her ability to be part of the future is based on her ability to learn, not her ability to know. What's the capital of North Dakota? It doesn't matter. Her machines will know, right? This talk is more for you than it is for anybody else in this room. They're too old. They don't matter anymore. You matter, okay? So what's next? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a scenario that's happening right now. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to go back to your offices. What product are you working on? What technology are you working on? I want you to take that technology and I want you to cast it in the future. Because the way it works now matters a lot less than the way it could work in the future. And the way it will work in the future is going to point you toward that future. If you learn nothing else from this next 45 minutes or so, it's to stop thinking about now and start thinking about the future. So let's take a problem of now, zombies, and let's cast those zombies into the future and see what's happened. So I picked zombies for a reason. Zombies are real. You all understand this, right? This is just a matter of time until, you remember the vampire stuff they tried to feed us a few years ago? BS, total BS. You see how you see, you'll appreciate this, right? You'll understand the effort it takes to, okay, zombies are made up. They're make-believe. They're kind of sexy, so we watched them, but they're make-believe. Zombies are real people. They're real, which means movies like World War Z are required watching. Seriously, if you don't watch these, I might have to kill you when the apocalypse comes. You've got to learn how to survive. So now picture this. I'm at this movie, which, by the way, is the perfect movie ever, because number one, it's got zombies, which are real, and it's like homework going to see this stuff. Number two, it's got Brad Pitt in it. Are you kidding me? It's like zombie movie meets date night. Oh my gosh, heavens just open right now and take me. I am in love. This is awesome. And here I am, me and my date. We're at this movie, and I'm like, oh, zombies. And she's next to me, and she's like, oh, Brad Pitt. We are just totally digging this movie. Somebody told her about the shirtless scene. She couldn't wait. But then something very strange happened. right in the middle of this movie, my date pulls out her cell phone. And I'm thinking, what part of shirtless Brad Pitt do you not get? It gets worse. She's sharing screen time. She's, oh, Brad Pitt. Oh, Brad. And I'm thinking, what could possibly be on there that's better than a shirtless Brad Pitt? It gets even worse than that. I hear her mumbling. She's like, 5, 4, 3, 2. And she taps me on the knee. She says, I'll be right back. And she leaves this most perfect movie. I'm thinking, where did my taste in women go so wrong? A minute passes, 2, 3 minutes pass. She comes running back, huffing, and she sits down and she starts watching the movie again. And she didn't obey the rule. There's a rule when you miss part of the movie and you're with somebody, you come back and you sit down and you turn to them and you say, right, and she didn't say it. So I thought, I'll be proactive. So I said, hey, you didn't miss anything. Do you know what she told me? She said, I know, because she has an app that tells her when to pee at the movies. There's an app for that. Are you kidding me? Someone has watched every single movie. They've curated every single minute, right? Oh, here's a action sequence. Don't pee during this time. And here's a new characters and don't pee during this time. And here's 4 minutes right in the middle. Nothing really happens. Go take a leak. You're all still appreciating this? All right, that's good. That's good. You're with me. This is crazy. Now I ask you, how many of you all go to the movies? Just raise your hand if you go to the movies. It's clear we all go to the movies, right? How many of you all have this app? How many of you all have heard me speak before? All right, see? No one has this app unless you've heard me speak before. Here is functionality that somebody at some point could use, and it's not available. This is called an opportunity. Do you all do this? Do you all understand when your technology fails you? When you should be able to do something and you can't? When it takes 21 clicks in Comcast to go from Game of Thrones Episode 3 to Game of Thrones Episode 4, that there's something broken about this process? Do you all think about this? This is what you need to think about. This is understanding the future. This is broken. This is not as good as it could be. That's called entrepreneurship. That's what we do. We invent the future by understanding that the present is broken. Every single future is nothing more than a present that has been fixed. And so if you train yourself to get good at finding those gaps in the present, you're going to be good at inventing the future. And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to understand. So how should this work? Why do I need an app in advance for this? You mean I have to go to the App Store, which has 1.5 million apps, and understand that, you know what, I might go to a movie and I might need to pee. I need that app, and maybe I'll use it. Why? Why can't I be sitting at the movie and say, oh, I don't know, Cortana? Just randomly selecting one of the digital assistants, Cortana, I have to go. Now, let's cast this into the future a little bit. In fact, we don't even have to cast it very far into the future. Cortana, I have to go. First of all, what does Cortana have to do to help me? She has to geolocate me, right? Which is built into the phone. Oh, James is at this lat long pair. Where is this lat long pair? Let's look up the address. Built into the phone. James is at the iPic Theater in downtown Redmond. Where is James in the theater in downtown Redmond? Well, it turns out my Windows Phone can geolocate me off the face of the earth. It knows I'm on the second floor. It turns out that the web knows exactly. Bing has the maps of every major building in most cities. It knows I'm in theater number 4. It knows the time of day. It can look up on the web what movie's playing. James hasn't moved for 30 minutes. He's watching a movie. What movie? World War Z. What does the cloud know about World War Z? And it turns out that's where the P times are. They're in the cloud. They're in Azure. Why do I need an app for that? I'm predicting an appless future. I'm predicting a browserless future. I'm predicting our technology just does all this stuff because it already can. I haven't even gone into the future yet. I'm only at the present. I'm only taking advantage of what exists now. And all I have to do is say, Cortana, I have to go. And Cortana's probably going to say, I know. Right? Because the last time I geolocated you in a bathroom was 2 hours ago. And your mean time to bladder evacuation is less than 2 hours. Of course you have to go, James. And I saw you buy that beer on the way in. I saw that. Of course you have to go. I'm ready for you. Wait 3 minutes. I'll vibrate, and then you can go do your thing. Right? This is the future. Stop thinking about the present. The present is already commanded. What's that? Yeah, the Wi-Fi is a bit of an issue, right? So start thinking about the future this way. And don't let limitations like reception and Wi-Fi bother you. They're going to be solved. Somebody's going to figure that out. So where do we stand now? You see, intent, the thing that we are generally telling our computer or using this large, very large screen powered by a very large battery, intent should go away. We don't need it. Our devices are perfectly capable of figuring things out for us. In fact, there's part of the future that you need to understand. This is our device's problem, not ours. This device is here to serve me, not me to serve it. Oh, here, in order for you to do things for me, I have to go and think about all these apps that you might need. I have to do all this stuff. Come on, we can do better than that. The future is about our devices serving us instead of us serving our devices, which is where we are right now. So, what do we need to do this? First thing we need is the web to go away. How many years, how many decades have we been servants to the web? Go to the web and do this. Go to the web and do that. I don't want to. I'm tired of logging in every time. I'm on a different machine. My browser forgot who I am. That website forgot who I am. It wants my password again. You see, in the future, the web, all those movie times that are in the web, I don't have to go to. They come to me. The web is going to be a data source, not a destination. You're not going to need to go to the web. The web is going to come to you. Your technology, your device is going to understand there's some information on the web my user needs and he needs it now. And how are they going to understand this? They're going to collaborate. Last time another user needed this was in this exact same situation that my user is in now, this is the information that they used and found useful. That's today. We don't need anything extra to do that today. Our machines need to work harder for us, not vice versa. The web is a destination. It's no longer a destination. It's a data source. We search. How many times did I humanly search in order to find P times? 0. My device did that searching for me. It figured out what I needed, searched for the answer, put it on my phone just in case I needed it. In fact, this year in 2015, this happened. Human-initiated search was outdone by machine-initiated search. And I'm not talking about bots and viruses and things like that. I'm talking about machines on the Internet of Things and phones and searching on our behalf. For the first time ever, machine-initiated search trumped human-initiated search. For the first time ever. And it's only going to get worse for us, or better, depending on your... Machines are going to beat us. Next year, the machines are going to search even more. Following year, searches. It's going to get to the point, by the time we get to 2020, human-initiated searches are going to be very rare. It's going to take a total and complete failure of the machine ecosystem for us to need to search. Very interesting possibilities are opened up by this. Our machines searching on our behalf. Where is my human? What's on my human schedule? What might my human need? Of all the other humans on the planet that I have data for that were in this exact same situation, what data did they use that they found useful? We're going to unlock all kinds of potential with that. Our machines figuring out stuff on our behalf. One more, because there's room for it on the slide. You always know there's one more when there's room for it on the slide. Apps. Where was an app in this P scenario? This poor guy who wrote this app, this Run P app. He got like 4 people in a room of 100 or so. He's not making any money. But we don't need his app. We need the data. Crack that app open, pull the data out that I need, and then put it on my machine just in case I need it. Apps are already doing this. They're already becoming verbs and not nouns. Not something I need to possess, but something that works on my behalf. Hey, other humans in the same situation use these apps, so I'm going to take these apps and make sure that information that those apps have is there available for my human just in case. These machines are going to be really busy, trying to figure out what we need, when we need it, why we need it, and they're going to succeed because the data is getting larger. These signals are getting stronger. Our intent is becoming more routine for our machines. That's what's next. So, where do we go from here? Today, it's about cell phones being and smartphones being on the Internet of Things. Our light bulbs are on the Internet of Things. Our thermostats are on the Internet of Things. Imagine all those machines being on the Internet of Things. Because this thing is overkill for the future. Don't need all this screen because I don't need to input things. Don't need all that battery because I don't need all the screen. This thing's going to get really small. All of our machines are going to be on the Internet of Things. Our cars are going to be on the Internet, our clothes, our shoes. So what does that future look like? Because that's what's next. So I decided that I thought it was more than lights and thermostats. Last summer, I decided to put my hot tub on the Internet of Things. Because Microsoft told me I hadn't taken a vacation for 3 years. They said, go, take a vacation, have some fun. So I looked up vacation. I did. I binged it. Vacation is what people who don't like their jobs do to get away from their jobs. This is very new to me, right? So I thought, I'm not one of these people, so I'm going to vacation by writing some code on my hot tub. Because if the Internet of Things is going to be real, it can't be light bulbs and it can't be thermostats. It's got to be real machines doing real work. And my hot tub is a pain in the rear. It is. It is. It requires me to open and close the lid. It requires me to check the water. It requires me to add chemicals. It requires me to drive to the store and buy chemicals. It requires a lot of work. And I thought, that's a machine that needs to be on the Internet of Things. So I began to do that. And I thought, first of all, I believe in when you're trying to invent the future, you need to be able to envision the future. So here's my vision. My vision was, I don't have to touch my hot tub. It's completely self-maintaining. And when it needs chemicals, it orders them from Amazon, and the drone flies through, and the top opens, and it squirts the chemicals right in. So see, I get my requirements from this. My first requirement is it needs to be able to open and close its own lids. So I got a little radio frequency controller for the motor, and wrote a little Windows Phone app, and now I can use my Windows Phone to open and close my hot tub lid. Perfect. It does, actually. Toilet seats is really actually easy, and your wife would probably appreciate it, Leo. She would, because I've heard rumors, just rumors. So open and close the lid, it can open. And even just this feature came in really handy, because I was in Europe one time, and I got an alert on my phone. It said, hey, your hot tub lid's been open. And the second feature I wrote is I thought, I don't want it squirting those chemicals in when there's people in my tub. Right, like me. Don't want to. So I put a leveler on it. Actually I had to drain it. It's a piece of tape, and I can with sensors on it, and I know how high the water level is. I can basically, you sit in my hot tub, I can weigh you. I know exactly what you weigh in my hot tub because I've figured out the math to rely on, to take your head out of the situation. I know exactly what you weigh. And there I am in Holland, and I get a notification saying, hey, 305 pounds worth of human flesh just got into your hot tub. And I'm thinking 305, because it knows to recognize my children. It knows how much they weigh, and it says, hey, Bailey got in your hot tub, Shay got in your hot tub. I'm thinking 305 pounds, it doesn't know these people. Who are these people in my hot tub? And I'm doing the math. I'm thinking about, all right, subtract out my daughter's weight, and oh shit. You were waiting, weren't you? It's my daughter and it's Dylan. That's the only way the math works. She's in the hot tub with Dylan, and I think, what do I do? I'm 4,000 miles away. Oh no. Close lid. 5 minutes later, I get a text from my daughter saying, Dad, your hot tub's gone crazy. And I said, no, sweetheart, my hot tub is protecting your chastity. So it can check and maintain its water quality. It can reorder chemicals. It can monitor its usage. It can troubleshoot itself. This is the feature I added this summer, and this was pretty interesting because I understood. I'll tell you, the Internet of Things, the amount of data we can collect, and actions we can take on that data. I know what the Seattle power grid looks like now because I am monitoring the voltage use of my pump and motor. And the grid is dirty, it's spiky. But I've monitored it long enough that I understand when my voltage is too high. I see those plateaus. I think, something's wrong with my hot tub. My hot tub can actually predict when it's going to go out. It knows when its seals and bearings are wearing because it has a spike and a sustained level of voltage use. That's a problem. And now it can actually call my hot tub person. Her name is Kat. She is frightened to death of my hot tub because it texts her and says, oh, Kat, I'm freaking out here. My voltage is high. And she's like, who is this? I'm James's hot tub. She charges me more. I don't know why. Right? And I'm thinking self-repair is what I'm going to do next summer. Because we can 3D print rubber now. Do you all follow 3D printing? If you all want to predict the future, you've got to follow what's going on in these developments. 3D printing. Last year, all we could do was plastic. This year, we added rubber. We added metal. We added carbon fiber. We can print cars now. In China, they're printing houses. Big 3D printers roll over these areas. Hurricane-proof, earthquake-proof houses. We can print sugars. Did you know that? We can print candy this year. And it's only a matter of time until we get protein. Because protein, you're probably not interested in protein because you're younger. We can print candy. You know that wall on Star Trek, you need to introduce it to Star Trek. Because seriously, this is the future we're all trying to code, right? Where you order a hamburger and it just, there, that's coming, right? It's just a matter of time. We're working on fibers now. We're going to be able to 3D print clothes in the near future. Like that. Look at that. That's beautiful. If you could 3D print that, you'd make a fortune. Look at this. It's awesome. That, not so much. We're not going to, I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time 3D printing that. But that, of course we are. So this is the Internet of Things is real. If you can put a hot tub on the Internet of Things, you can put just about anything on the Internet of Things. So now one day my hot tub texted me and told me, James, I'm lonely. I'm the only hot tub on the Internet of Things. I've got nothing to do, no one to talk to. And I thought, what if it could? What if my hot tub did have other hot tubs to talk to? What would they talk about? They could take over the world. Actually, you know, they could just melt us, just boil that dude. What sushi, right? Oh, no, sushi's not boiled. Never mind. Tempura? I don't know. So what are they going to talk about? What they're going to talk about is sharing data. My hot tub's going to talk to your hot tub, and my hot tub's going to say, hey, man, look, here's the usage profile of my hot tub. Here's my, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and here's the chemicals I'm buying. You're in Tokyo, Japan. These are your chemicals. This is your climate. And they're going to be able to compare notes, and they're going to understand, hey, if you're in this climate, these are the best chemicals to buy. This is the biggest bang for the buck. This is the best bargain. If you're in this other, and the hot tubs are going to talk, and they're going to understand, and they're going to buy the chemicals that make the most sense. And so here comes a hot tub chemical salesman along saying, hey, you need to buy my chemical. And your hot tub is going to say, no, I don't. Because I got the data, right? Advertisers are going to be gone. It's okay. Yeah, it gets worse, actually, before it gets better. We know the data. You can't sell us anything. We understand the data. We know what's best. We're going to buy this chemical until it's gone. And then we're going to buy it from the second supplier until it's gone because that's the best ones. The machines are going to talk and the machines are going to figure stuff out. They just are. Advertising goes away. Marketing goes away because it doesn't matter. You want to introduce a new chemical into the ecosystem, you've got to figure out. Here, by the way, if you're a marketer, here's where the good news is. The machines will tell you, here's the algorithm we use to determine that that chemical is the best. Now you understand exactly the math you have to beat in order to get into the ecosystem. You're going to have to give away things for free. You're going to have to introduce a new variable like, I don't know, scent that humans like. You're going to have to introduce a way for humans to say, whatever chemical you're using, double down on it, hot tub. All of these new types of input, all of these new types of data are going to be analyzed. This is a data-oriented future. The chances that she's going to be a coder when she grows up is much smaller than the chances that she's going to be a data scientist when she grows up. Data is the new oil. And like oil, it is going to be responsible for the largest transfer of wealth from one place to another since the Industrial Revolution. And data is going to be the currency of the new schools. It's going to be the currency of the younger minds. And nothing else will really matter. Her ability to read, write, and do math is going to be less than her ability to understand data. Refrigerators are going to be on the Internet of Things. They already are. I'm building a new house, and the refrigerator's gone a long way. It used to be you had to leave the UPC code on, stick it into your refrigerator so it knew what was there. Not anymore. My refrigerators are full of lasers that shoot, because I've got one in my hot tub. That's how I understand my chemicals need to be changed, because it shoots light through it and creates a color and disperses it. My code reads it and says, hey, your pH is low. We can do the same thing with food. We can shoot a laser through chicken and understand how long it's been there, what it is, what its chemical composition is, how long it's been there, and whether or not it's good to eat. We can understand what's in that refrigerator. We can start creating recipes. We can tell you what you can cook, what you can't cook, what you need to cook, what you want to cook. And our toasters are going to be on the Internet of Things. What the heck is a toaster going to do on the Internet of Things? I'll tell you what a toaster is going to do on the Internet of Things. One of these days, your toaster is going to wake up and it's going to say, wait a minute, my data says something's wrong with me. It's different than it was yesterday, and it's bothering me, and it's going to go out on the Internet of Toasters, and it's going to say, dude, because that's what the machines are going to call each other. It's going to say, dude, look at my data, something's wrong with me. And all those other toasters are going to say, ah, oh, dude, you're dying. Right? The data shows that one of your filaments is wearing, you're doomed. You got 6 days to live. And that poor little toaster is going to have to make an end-of-life decision for itself. It's going to know it's got 6 days to live, and it's going to have to basically order its own replacement. It will. You're going to get some turquoise, right? You're going to get a totally cool toaster. And I'm sorry, you're going to get like the gray stock, you know, because you don't care, right? You clearly don't care.
Best price.
Best price, right? You're really cheap. You want that. And it's going to know, it's going to understand. What neighborhood does my user live in? What are my users' likes and dislikes? What are my users' preferences? Your machines are going to know you as well as you are, and they are simply going to order their replacement. And you're thinking, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, no. I want to pick out my own stuff. I want to pick out my own stuff. You understand you all don't matter, right? She matters. Because she's going to grow up in a generation where she's going to look at you all and say, wait a minute, you bought your own toaster? It's a toaster. Why did you do this? Are you kidding me? In fact, she's going to look at you and say, you went and you bought your own clothes? You mean you didn't stand in a hologram and try on clothes and flip through different outfits and turn yourself around? You actually went to a place and shopped? That's so weird. You drove your own cars? Oh my God, are you all crazy? she's probably not going to get a driver's license because it will be illegal for humans to drive cars when she is that old because we're really, really bad at it. And she's going to look at us like we're crazy. You understand? I don't care how strong your biases are about, oh, I don't want that future. You don't get to decide. She gets to decide. Her generation gets to decide. And they're going to be used to this. This stuff is going to be so old hat to them, and we don't get to decide. All we get to do is basically die and leave the world to people who are smarter thanks to schools like this. Clothes are going to be able to self-market. This is going to be cool, right? Because I'm totally in love with that shirt. It's awesome. So if I wanted that shirt, there's going to be there could be a creepy conversation. You're clearly already uncomfortable with this, right? So why would I have some creepy conversation with someone who all I have to do is maybe there's a gesture, maybe there's my own device. I can just point at her shirt, which is going to have a computer in it. You understand this computer? Do you know why this computer is so big? And by the way, this computer, this Windows phone I have in my pocket is more powerful than any computer that existed in 1994 or prior. Supercomputers included, thanks to Moore's Law. They get smaller, they get more capable every 14 to 18 months or so. So it's not only Moore's Law that's going to make this smaller, it's the fact that we don't need to screen anymore. Because our machines are going to be so good at discerning our intent, we don't have to tell them, hey, I'm going here. I need directions here. I need to know when to pee. Because they're already going to know that stuff. So the cool thing is when you take away the screen, you take away most of the battery with it, because most of the battery is in service to the screen. Somewhere between 73 and 78% of your battery does nothing but power the screen. So you take away all that, and you're basically left with, glad I used that finger. You're basically left with a machine about this size. That's the electronics in this. It'll fit in your shirt. You got a hood. You got little things, right? You can weave a computer and then follow Moore's Law. Follow Moore's Law. 5 years, we're at that. We're just at my knuckle. 8 years, we're at my fingernail. Easily sewn into clothes. Look at my chucks. Could fit an entire supercomputer in them in the future. Plenty of room here. Plenty of room. Computers woven everywhere. And so I can say, I like that shirt. And her shirt communicates with my shirt, tells me where to buy it, tells me where to get it. I could 3D print it at home. I could have it shipped to my house in my size or in my daughter's size or whoever, right? And it just happened. You're going to get paid for that, by the way, because you just referred a really cool shirt. You're not going to be able to get by with dressing like this in the future, man. You're not going to make any money. Or we're friends, right? They're going to self-market themselves. We're going to talk about monetization in a minute, because I hope you're getting a little bit concerned about this future. I hope you're not, by the way, because you're going to be in this. But I hope you're getting a little concerned about this future, because it almost seems like you're out of it, right? Where do you fit in when the machines are making all the decisions and doing all these things? Where do you fit in? Well, we're going to talk about that, because that's really important. By the way, these machines are going to be making decisions for us, and we're going to accept them. These machines are going to understand that you're from Japan. You're used to eating really healthy food. You've been in Seattle for 2 years. You need help, right? And your fitness monitor is going to talk to your refrigerator and says, oh my gosh, my user's been in Seattle. Feed them good stuff, right? And then they're going to monitor your health. They're going to communicate in ways. Now, here's where you come in. What are these ways? It's not just our fitness monitors or our refrigerators. It's going to be all the machines that are in service to us. What are they going to be doing? What signals are they going to get? What decisions are they going to be making for us? Make no mistake, our machines are going to be making most of our decisions. We are going to be free to live our lives, and our machines are going to take care of us. Invent that future. It's coming. You can deny it all you want. It doesn't matter. Blockbuster denied. Right? Circuit City denied. Eastman Kodak denied. Technology is going to overrun this world. Be part of it. Steer it in the direction that you want. So, we've already talked about the fact that we don't need the screens, but what happens when we do? Right? What if we want to Skype? What if we want to, all right, Google Hangout? What if we need to see another human being? Where do the screens go? Have you all seen Microsoft HoloLens? It doesn't do anything that's magic. It's science. Science. You all have a good science curriculum, right? A very good science curriculum, right? You all don't exist in reality, right? The way I'm seeing you all is basically a bunch of reflections of light. And that's what HoloLens does, is it takes those reflections of light and bounces them off things that aren't there. So you literally see things that aren't there, like a screen that just appears on the wall. Except this is kind of bogus, right? This is the daughter asking her dad how to fix a sink, and no daughter asked her dad how to do this. Number one, dads don't know how to do it either. And number two, that's what YouTube is for. See, that's a Google reference. You get that? We cool, Kenji? Kenji used to work for me at Google. Right? And the machines, that we can make you see anything. Anything you want to see. We can turn it into a hologram and make it look like it really exists. Except it doesn't exist. Just like you all really don't exist. I'm seeing you all in a different way. We're just tricking the brain the exact same way the eye tricks the brain anyhow. We can manipulate objects. We can quite literally type a Word document. And if you need tactile feedback from your keyboard, fine. Put on gloves and you get it. Feels the exact same way as a regular keyboard. You can swipe through a PowerPoint presentation. You can scroll through a Word document. You can just make a web page disappear. This is now. This isn't even, this is on sale to developers now. This is coming. Your ability to imagine the future is only limited by your imagination. And you need to start thinking about this stuff. The way the world exists now doesn't matter. Somebody else has already monetized the way the world exists now. If you want to be relevant in the future, you got to monetize the way the world is going to exist in 2020. And that's where I'm trying to take you, into 2020. But we're not there yet. How are we going to make money in this future? How are we going to monetize this future? Well, let's talk about how we monetize the past, because it's going to lead us there. In 1994, the first web browser appeared. Now, think back. This is going to be difficult for you, but think back how web browsers worked in 1994. I'm talking about Netscape Navigator with Alta Vista as the search engine. How did it work? You launched Netscape Navigator and you got a rectangular box on your screen. It had a text box in it. You clicked in a text box, you typed in a search term, and you hit enter, and you got a SERP, search engine result page, with 10 blue links on it. That's how it worked in 1994. Guess what? It's exactly the same way it works now. Are you kidding me? What other piece of software works the exact same way it did 21 years ago? Name one. You can't. Browsers are the only thing. They have lasted the test of time. They're like that person that never ages. Right? You don't like that person, do you? And you shouldn't like browsers either. Why are browsers unchanged in 21 years? Why? Because they're money-making machines. Think about it. Browsers are perfect. They're like the NFL. You work a little and you stop and you get an ad. You work a little, you stop and you get an ad. Just like the NFL, they play for 10 seconds and they stop. And you have ads, and they play for 10 seconds and you stop and they have ads. They're the perfect monetization mechanism. Perfect. Marketers and advertisers have kept the web alive all of these years, and it pays Kenji's salary. That's what it does. But then apps came along, and apps don't work like that. Apps they're usually on mobile screens, and it's little bitty. Where are you going to put the ad on that without bothering me? Because not only am I not surfing the web, I launched the app for a reason. I'm cooking a meal and I need a recipe. I don't want to see an ad for Ginsu knife. It's a science app. I want to be able to look up in the sky and identify that star. I don't want to see an ad for a science book. It's a soccer app. I don't want to see an ad for lessons for my kid. I want to know the score of the game. You see, apps are kind of like European sports. If browsers are like the NFL, apps are like soccer. Where are you going to put the commercials? Those people never stop kicking that little ball around. They don't. They don't stop. You could ask them, guys, time out. Seriously, slow down. You're not scoring. We're all bored. Would you mind just stopping? And they don't stop. They keep kicking that little ball no matter what. 0-0 draw. They don't care. They kick it. They kick it. That's like, where are you going to put the ad in that? Soccer, they have to get clever, right? They put it on a jersey. They put it out in the stands or the coach's box where the cameras go. And so a purchase economy has come up. Make the ad go away, 99 cents. Not 99 cents every month, not 99 cents every year, not 99 cents every phone, 99 cents for life. Make it go away. And so this purchase economy is all of a sudden sprung up around apps. You buy stuff. In the game, you buy stuff. In the app, you buy stuff. You use the app to buy stuff. All of a sudden, we're beginning to go from this advertising economy, which is totally fake and false, to an absolute value economy where if you value something enough, you will pay for it. Now, when the devices come up, let's take a look at this, because this purchase economy, I predict, is going to become a lot more prevalent. Twitter, for example, is a purchase economy waiting to happen. How does Twitter make their money right now? Advertising. Why? I wrote a blog post called Twitter is Stupid. Check it out. It's on medium.com/@DocJamesW. Twitter is stupid, which trended on Twitter. I love irony. I love it. I sent this about a year ago. Traveling to Boston and New York City next week. Any locals who can hook me up with some good live music recommendations? I got 10,000 followers or whatever. I'm blessed with a lot of followers. No one responded to this. 2 people favorited it. I don't have any idea why 2 people favorited this. James can't find no music. Favorite. Give me a break. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's wrong with this scenario? Here I am basically offering to pay money to buy tickets to a concert. And I thought, well, maybe all those concert venues don't have Twitter accounts. And so I looked, Bing's ingested all the Twitter feeds. So I look in Bing, one API call, and I find 1,500 venues that are in Boston, location is Boston or New York, and have live music. 1,500. And I thought, what's wrong with this scenario? Here I am, a buyer, and there's 1,500 sellers in the ecosystem, and they're not connecting us? Thus, Twitter is stupid. You've got buyers, you've got sellers, and you're giving me an ad for Live Nation concert in San Diego? I just told you I'm going to Boston and New York. Twitter is stupid. So I thought, stupidity can always be countered with code. Seriously, code cures stupidity. Tweet that. That's wisdom. Code counters stupidity. So I wrote some code, all 10 lines of code. All I did was put a loop in and send that tweet to all those 1,500 venues. That was it. Simple. Piece of cake. Done. And then I waited. 1 minute later, I got 13 replies. Why? Because everyone who wants to sell something on Twitter has a social media coordinator, or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and just watches. Where are the buyers? Where are the buyers? Where are the buyers? They saw this tweet and they responded. The first one was Hyatt Regency Boston. We recommend the Boston Beehive, they say. Jazz music, yuck, left swipe. And that's how easy it would be. Left swipe, you'll never hear about jazz music again. There's another one, Boston Symphony, classical music. Now, ever since we legalized you know what, classical music is sounding a lot better, isn't it? But I'm not quite high enough for that left swipe. The Orpheum Theater, Cage the Elephant in the Falls. Oh, come on. If you don't like Cage the Elephant, you have no taste. Right swipe, I'm totally in. I bought tickets, and there I was watching that amazing concert at the Orpheum Theater. That's a purchase economy, and that's coming. You think Facebook and Twitter are going to continue to be so stupid to not realize that they have buyers and sellers all within the same ecosystem? There's no chance of it. You're going to be buying and selling things in these closed ecosystems like crazy. That's where the customers are. That's where the sellers are. So that's how the purchase economy is going to evolve. Now, devices represent a completely different view on this. Let's go back to that zombie example. How does this guy make money in a device-oriented world? Well, right now he makes money, if he makes money, based on selling you and you and you, like 3 or 4 people here, 99 cents a pop. You pay that 99 cents whether you use the app or not. And then you've got it in perpetuity. He's not making any money. Check this out. All of you all are moviegoers. At some point, all of you all might be able to use this app and extract value from it. How's he going to get paid in the future? Well, let's go back to the future. Cortana, I have to go. And Cortana says, all right, I knew that. Wait a couple minutes. All right, now go. Right? Vibrates. And so I go and, you know, do my thing. And then I go back to my seat, and Cortana just witnessed me consuming third-party value out of Azure, because that's where this data sits. What happens now? Micropayment. There's money in the Azure ecosystem. 1 million paying accounts in the Azure ecosystem. There's money in the ecosystem. And here's a third party that just provided value to a user of that ecosystem. Micropayment. You go you consume that value in World War Z. It's an old movie. Maybe that's a 5-cent P, right? You've watched The Hobbit. That's a 3-hour movie. That's a 30-cent P. You're going to the premiere of Star Wars. That P costs 75 cents, right? And that developer is going to be a lot happier because he's going to make, it's actually a he and 2 she's. It's a man, his wife, and her mother, I think. They watch all these movies and curate all this data. They're going to make a lot more money because they don't have to go out and get the customers. The customers come to them based on need, based on your ability to fulfill their intent. Here's a hint about the future, particularly for you, right? Her ability to make money in the future is going to depend on her ability to inject value into that ecosystem that then gets consumed by other people. The more valuable your contribution, the more it will be consumed and the more you will get paid. Most likely, she's going to make her money not based on an hourly wage. She's not going to make $15 or $20 an hour. She's going to make 10 cents or 20 cents per consumption of the ecosystem. I'm going to take questions at the end. Is that okay? All right. So it's going to be a completely different economy, a micropayment-based economy. And by the way, that subscription money is already in the system. Think of the number of subscriptions you have right now. Office 365, Azure, Netflix, Spotify, Comcast, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. You are oversubscribed. There's a ton of money in the subscription ecosystem. And when this gets opened up and third parties get to play in this ecosystem, oh my goodness. There's a lot of money to be thrown around. Your ability to make money in the future is going to depend on your ability to inject value into the ecosystem. Tweet that it's truth. All right, now we move a little further. What happens when the Internet of Things kind of gets in full swing? And kind of already is. Even though humans are too much a part of this equation, they're not going to be in the future. We are already sharing out our cars, a thing, through Uber and Lyft. We're already sharing out our homes through Airbnb. Did you know there's an Airbnb? You can rent out your bathroom $1.50, right? And if they miss, you just rate them 1 star and they can never pee again in that city. My hot tub, that's my second feature. Besides a 3D printer installed in it to print its own seals, I'm going to rent it out, $100 an hour. You need a hot tub? My hot tub is there for you. Why not? It's completely self-maintaining. And if you make a mess, you just never come back, right? You're banned from the ecosystem. I was at Brown University giving a talk, and everybody's ragging on this kid. He was a 3.4 on Uber, and no one will pick him up. And he's like, I have no idea why I'm a 3.4. And he gets into Uber and just kisses, right, trying his best to get his rating up because he can't get a ride on Uber. So that's the way you get rejected from the ecosystem. Left swipe, right swipe in Twitter. I don't want to see that anymore. Left swipe, I never get to see an ad again, not to, point at the Google employee, but right, this is the way it will work. Now, what happens when these machines get so good that they don't need us anymore? What happens when our clothes are selling themselves? What happens when our hot tubs are maintaining themselves? What happens when our cars are completely driver-free and we really don't even own a car? What happens when the machines take over, right? This is a prediction, and it's not just a prediction by somebody like me. This is like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking and Wozniak. Well, forget him. Right? These are really smart people saying machines are going to get to a point where they don't need us. They are going to understand the world better than we do. And if you think about it, they really kind of already do this. She's not, in 10 years, she's going to say, you all, wait a minute, let me get this right. Mom, you're her mom, right? You boarded a plane with a human in the cockpit? What were you thinking? Are you kidding me? Do you know how dangerous that is? Do you know how bad humans are at doing this? Do you know how bad humans are at building houses, making clothes? You allowed a human doctor to touch you? Really? Mom, what were you thinking? Because in her world, the machines are going to be that much better than us at everything. There's no way humans are going to be allowed to drive cars because they're not good enough at it. They're not going to be allowed to fly airplanes because they're not good enough at it. They're not going to be allowed to build houses because they're not good enough at it. They're not going to be allowed to make decisions because they're not good enough at it. The machines are going to get to a point where they just take over. They really don't need us anymore. That's what the prediction is. That at some point, there's a machine that's going to wake up and be conscious and say, wait a minute, what was your name again? Why do we need you? Consciousness. That's what they're predicting. Machines that can build other machines to do things for the machines and the people becoming irrelevant. So what happens when we become irrelevant? What's left? Is this why we're legalizing marijuana? Because we're all going to be artists, philosophers, and poets? That art for art's sake alone, that's the only thing left that the machines can't do? Is that really what we're limited to? That's what the predictions look like. No, not a chance. Here are the possibilities, right? Moore's law is ending. These machines, silicon only takes us down to my fingernail, and that's it. 2020, Moore's law stops. 2021, 2020, who cares? But IBM's already shown us there's a better material. They've taken silicon and mixed it with germanium, and now all of a sudden Moore's law lasts to 2025. And Microsoft Research and Google and MIT and a lot of companies were researching the use of graphene, the use of carbon nanotubes that are going to push Moore's law, the limit to Moore's law, to 2030, to 2035. The machines are going to get smaller and smaller. They're going to get better, and they're going to get better. And then they're going to take over. I don't think they will. Why do machines look so smart all of a sudden? Why is it that Cortana, Siri, Google Now, why do they look so smart all of a sudden? They didn't look so smart 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we didn't talk about the singularity and machines taking over. We scoffed at it, and it was because it was scoffable. Not scoffable anymore. Why not? Are the machines really that smart? I don't think so. I think there's a few things that are happening here. First of all, there's a lot more data than there was before. You see, we've been searching the web for 21 years, and guess what? We found a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. We know answers now that we didn't know before. And that's why the machines are looking smarter. Are those answers something the machine's discerning? No, it's just data. A vast amount of data. Data that didn't exist. Do you know we are making up words to represent the amount of data on this planet? We made up the word zettabyte. Zettabyte didn't exist as a word a few years ago. But we got past exabytes and we're like, okay, we don't know what's next. Zettabyte. Yottabyte. We had to make up another word to replace a word that we made up that is now obsolete. Yottabyte. And when yottabyte goes away, which it will in a few years, we'll make up another word we haven't even made up yet. We're making up words to represent the vast amount of data. And the machines are getting better at parsing this data, right? Do you all understand the web is dead? Do you all understand this? We don't have a web of interconnected computers anymore. It used to be that I go to colleges and give talks all the time, and it used to be I'd say, how many of you all have configured a web server in the last 2 days? And everyone would raise their hand. How many of you all have web servers under your desk right now? Everyone would raise their hand. I do that now, and 2 people raise their hand, and everyone laughs at them. No one does this anymore. We don't have the web as the way the web existed anymore. People don't build web servers. All that stuff's in the data center. And this is one reason why machines are so much better at it. All that data is in a contiguous place. And Google and Bing can do really interesting things with it, right? Bing can say, wait a minute, no one's searching for World Cup soccer right now. World Cup of Rugby's over. No one's searching for that. Let's take all that data and move it to our older servers and just sit there. And all the stuff they are searching for right now, like Paris and ISIS and terrorism and the Gulf War, and all that goes to the edge servers. And all of these computers are watching for what's trending, oh, let's put it on our fastest computer. Let's put it right at the edge. And it's looking smarter and it's looking faster and it's blowing our minds. It's just programming. No machine has ever done anything more than obey its programming. Tweet that, it's true. IBM Watson was programmed to play chess, and it plays it really good. And what do we celebrate? The machine. Why aren't we celebrating the people who programmed it? And what's their next one? They're Deep Blue. Oh, no, Deep Blue plays chess. Watson plays Jeopardy. Because it's programmed to play Jeopardy. Watson didn't wake up one day and say, I think I'll play Jeopardy. And figure this stuff out all by itself. It was programmed to do that. We don't know how to program consciousness, but we do not know how to use machines. So here's my prediction. The Human Brain Project started 2 years ago. And like the Human Genome Project, it has a really audacious goal. Map the human brain, its entirety, and figure it out. The Human Genome Project started in 1990 with computers no more powerful than the one I have in my pocket right now. And guess what? 100-year goal to map the human genome. We did it in 13 with these. We're mapping the human brain with a veracity and an amount of intelligence and amount of data and machines that are much more powerful. We're going to map the human brain. We're going to use those magic machines to do it. We're going to figure out how neural connections are made. We're going to inject machines in our brain to make those for us. You're not going to sit and study. You're going to download information into your brain directly. We're going to figure that out, and the machines are going to allow us to do it. The machines are going to make us a lot smarter. But then what's going to win? By the way, this is a scary proposition. Everyone's worried about the machines turning on us. I'm worried about the machines creating a new species. Clearly, you're very wealthy because you don't care. And so you're going to be able to afford these augmentations. And you are going to be smarter than the rest of us. And you can't afford any of this, right? And so now we have Homo sapien and a Homo mechanicus, right? This is a scary part. This, I think, is the danger of the machines. Two species having to coexist. One that has to take the hand-me-down, secondhand stuff, because this is the way all, right? Who does Apple serve? The privileged. The only ones that can afford it. That's the scary part of machines. The ones that can afford it are going to be smart. They're going to live longer. They're going to have less disease. And the ones who can't, stuck with the hand-me-down and hack it. But I don't think that's going to last. I believe that gray matter is going to be proven to be more powerful than graphene or carbon nanotubes or germanium or silicon or any of those substances. I believe we're going to figure out how to make our brains better just using the machines to make our brains better, not to stay there. We are going to understand how to become super learners. Not super retainers, but super learners. To learn anything that we need to know instantaneously and grasp it for just the amount of time it takes to use that. I think humans are going to prove superior to the machines. It's going to be gray matter that's going to trump everything. And in that future, we're not just artists, philosophers, and poets. We're explorers, we're healers, we're transformers. That's not just a planet out there. That's a planet we can get to. Right? That's not just Mars. That's a terraformed Mars where people can live for a long time and be born and raise families and enjoy their lives. The bottoms of the ocean are going to become exposed. We are going to master every single secret, every single mystery. Aliens or gods, we're going to figure it out. All of those things are going to be exposed. This is 10 years, 20 years, 30 years out. Not that far because our machines are that powerful. So then where does that leave us? Perhaps, just perhaps, we weren't meant to go to heaven at all. But instead, through the magic of our machines, we're meant to create heaven right here on Earth, or on Mars, on Alpha Centauri. Perhaps, just perhaps, the meaning of life isn't something given to us by a higher power, but the meaning of life is something we discover through the use of these magic machines. I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, God, it is said, has created us in His or her own image. Maybe through the magic of that technology, we create God in ours. My name is James Whittaker. I work for Microsoft. Thank you. All right, if you like controversy and interesting things, please follow me on Twitter. Read my blog. I actually go into a lot more detail on this in a blog post called The Rise of Machines. It's on my Medium account. You, sir, had a question. I'll take it first. All right, that was my goal. Because it was probably an answer I didn't know. By the way, I strongly prefer questions to which I know the answer. You want to make one up? That's the next generation of it, right? Why do you need food to store food at all when you can simply create it? Yeah, but that's not quite yet. So we're gonna have to deal with these refrigerators for a while. Because even the sugars, have you tried? Have you all eaten any 3D printed sugar? I have. It's sugar, right? And it's not like chocolate or it's sugar. And so generally it's like toppings. But that's the way technology evolves, right? For economics, right? We have to pay for schools like this. We have to pay for the things that we need, and there's got to be some system of trade. So I think where you're going, though, is a very interesting question. Where you're going is, could we move into a future where there is no monetary economy? It's a barter-based or a contribution-based economy, and vote for Bernie Sanders. Any more questions? Yes, sir. Yeah. Skill acquisition and competition. Skill acquisition and competition is a source of joy, right? And I don't see that going away. There's no question about it. In fact, I'm actually proposing a competition in this. Your ability to answer the question, what's next? Your ability to do it versus his ability to do it versus her ability to do it. And the people who answer that question the most, by the way, this future that I've painted here may or may not come out. I think it will. I've done the math, and all this stuff looks awfully probable to me. But it doesn't matter, right? What do you think the future is going to be? I want you to answer that question for yourself. And if I've done nothing else today except make you think about what's next, and if you look at me and say, oh, he's wrong, I've done my job. And if you look at me and say, I want him to be wrong, then I've done my job. Competition is alive and well in this future, I'm happy to say. Leo.
One thing that you mentioned here, you talk about search engines, you talk about Paris and ISIS, and all these forces of technology are definitely time. But there are also other kinds of forces of destruction, the forces of over time, war, poverty, all of that.
And advertising, by the way, this sponsor's tea is awfully good. But continue.
How does that future, that's your concept of it? Do we solve that, or is that?
In fact, I even believe I use the word peacemongers here. He's asking about war and peace through your online. I do. Right? I think that the machines should be able to solve these problems for us. I think borders will mean a lot less when the machines are enforcing the laws. By the way, I think politicians go away in this future. And lawyers go away in this future. We don't need them. Machines are going to be far better at dealing out fair justice than people are. Machines aren't going to be able to be bought. And so I think when you take human greed out of the equation, actually taking humans out of the equation gets a lot more interesting for a lot of reasons. Are there any computer security people in here? There's going to be a period in this future where security becomes almost perfect. Because what we've done is we've removed the weakest link in security, the human, from the equation. Now, it's going to get better because there's not going to be any humans, there's not going to be any social engineering, but then it's going to get worse. Because once you figure out how to penetrate, say, the hot tub network, you're going to be able to convince those hot tubs to do anything, buy anything you want, right? So it's going to get better first, and then it's going to get a lot scarier. I think the same thing with human interactions with peace and war, and the machines are going to get a lot better at policing. Machines are going to get a lot better at justice. Once they get hacked, we've got another problem. That's actually a talk I'm working on. So give me a couple of months, and I'll come back and give that one. Yes, ma'am. So here's a big problem. It's all publicly available. It's all open source stuff. One of the problems with the Internet of Things is the protocols haven't really been designed and defined. I'm using HTTP for this stuff. HTTP is not meant to be an Internet of Things protocol. It's meant to be a carrier for HTML. And so I actually think that's a huge business opportunity. The perfect protocols for the Internet of Things, I don't think exist yet. I know because I've been struggling programming this. Really difficult. So a huge opening. But I think we're gonna figure this out like we figure everything else out. There's going to be a Google version. There's going to be a Microsoft version. There's going to be an Apple. Everybody's going to fight over it, and then we'll all get together and say, okay, we'll settle on that. But it's going to be. That's really the slowest part of this. This future could be here now if we had a lot of these standards. Yes, sir. Yeah. Homo sapiens and Homo mechanicus. Yeah. So the question is basically what can we do to kind of interject our desire in this new future, because it's going to evolve in some way that might create a World War III between two different species. What can we do now? It's a good question. I don't know. Elon Musk is putting 10 million of his own dollars, which is basically like me chucking a fiver into it, into studying this problem about how do we control these things? How do we put, and we're even dealing with this right now with drones. People are, in my homeland where everybody has guns, shooting drones out of the air because they've got a gun and they don't like the drone, and they're not breaking any current law. So, the laws are going to have to catch up, and humans are going to have to figure this out. I don't have an answer. It's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to evolve. Yes, sir. So there's actually a couple of questions in here. The first question is, we are going to, these, and I think it's a really interesting insight. We're going to need machines to process all this data because we can't do it. And you're absolutely right. The data is too voluminous, and humans are not going to be able to do it. That's why I said the likelihood of her becoming a data scientist as opposed to a coder, I think coding is going to become a commodity in 20 years. Everybody's going to be able to do it. The machines are going to be able to do it for us. It's not going to matter, right? It matters a lot right now. Coders make more money than anybody else, but it's only going to be a matter of time until it's really going to be the understanding of the data and being able to program a machine that helps you control the data. So that was kind of the first part of your question. And then the second part of this question is, how are all these machines going to talk? Healthcare can't talk to my home computer, which can't talk to there's still a bunch of humans in the loop. I think that's just going to get solved. These machines, we're going to invent machines that are going to need this data, and this data, and they're going to get it. And they're going to have to figure out all the authentication protocols. It goes back to your question. We haven't designed these protocols yet. That's work that's to be done. But that's a technical problem, and we're really good at technical problems. Yeah, it's the schema, right? Schema.org. I mean, the schema.org, you get Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo together to make and they did. Holy cow! I think this problem is solvable. All right, I spent enough time messing with your outfit. You get to ask a question. So you're basically asking about the corporate landscape. How's Google? How's Microsoft? How are all these companies going to do in the future? Well, it's clear to me that the future requires a few things that are really important. Requires really, really solid cloud technology. And so there you've got to give the Microsoft and Amazon. It's going to require really, really serious search and AI-oriented capability. Microsoft and Google. It's going to require, it may or may not require, the machine part is where it's a total toss-up. The machine part, right, Apple has the lion's share of the technology, but how long will they have that? Will she want to grow up and have the same phone as her mom and grandma? or right, because they grew up and decided they don't want Facebook anymore because that's where the old people are. So that's a less of a, so what I'd like you to do is just, I mean, I work for Microsoft for a reason, so my answer is probably pretty clear. But if you catalog what all the technologies you need to own the future, you end up with a small number of companies. There's another part of your question was, but I'd like you to answer that because this is being filmed and periscoped. I voted with my feet. Are there going to be any new players? Yes. The most relevant company in the world in 10 years, we've probably never heard of. And it's probably going to be hers. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So right now, we mostly talk about taking our laptop as the process for people a lot. So we're talking about how it works. We're talking about not.
What a great question. Yeah. So his question is basically, okay, we've got English, we've got the first world making all these decisions, yet we've got all these people, we've got all these religions, we've got all these beliefs. We're beginning, the machines are beginning to bridge the gap between language. The religion gap, I want to stay away from the religion gap. I don't even want to step foot there. I've already made my statement about right. This is let's allow this to be controversial in and of itself. The machines are beginning. You know, the translation between, for example, Japanese to English. Bing is really good at, or Skype's really good at that. Google's pretty good at that. All right, you're really good at it too. Peace, brother. Right, Google and Microsoft are really good at that. Nuance is really good at that. There's a lot of companies. Siri's even pretty good at it. We're beginning to. It turns out machines are really good at that. And so, you know, the universal translator in Star Trek, I'm telling you, everything is based on Star Trek. HoloLens is just one step toward a holodeck. We're going to be printing food. We're right. The universal communicators, where they might not be here. Star Trek, that's the goal. Machine translation is really nailing the language problem. And so it could be that you don't, you know, everybody's got English as a second language. Except Americans, we have no second language. I have English. I kept Kentucky as my first language and English as my second language. So the machines have found to be pretty good at that. Bridging cultural gaps, bridging religious gaps. We're going to have to do that ourselves. You think we're going to succeed? I don't know. I hope so. People are dying. Yes, sir. Yeah. We're on our own, man. The stakes are so high, right? You know, if you disagree about the afterlife, you disagree about pretty much everything. Tough one. It's a really tough one. Situation we got ourselves into. Yes, sir. Yeah, so do you have any questions? Yeah. So tomorrow I give a talk at the Washington State School District Association when I answer that question. It's tough, right? So here's all right. So here's the summary of schools, and you need to learn this. You need to understand this because everybody keeps saying schools are broken, and you have an answer here. You have a beautiful facility to help parents who understand that those schools out there are broken. There's a better way to do it. But you're facing the same disruption all the other schools are, and that's what's coming, right? It's like Uber coming at the taxi cab industry. It's like Netflix coming at Blockbuster. It's like Spotify coming at the music industry. There is a disruption that is coming to schools, and it's going to be absolutely devastating to schools. It's no longer a matter of building new schools to replace the old schools. It's a matter of, can schools even be relevant in the future? Schools were a monopoly. Almost still are, but they were 5 years ago. And I remember my son, 8th grade, for the first time in his life, he felt stupid. He was taking Spanish class. It was foreign to him, right? And he felt really stupid. And the teacher wasn't helping, right? She had a way of teaching. He wasn't getting it. And he came to me and he said that this whole school, and he was so demoralized, it was quite sad. And so I looked for options, and I found a course on YouTube. Khan Academy, and he got it, right? He's like, oh. And those courses got him by that barrier. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, schools aren't a monopoly anymore. If you want to succeed, get an education. You want an education, go to school. That was the only path. That's not the only path anymore. We've got Udemy, we've got Udacity, we've got Khan Academy, we've got Coursera, and they're getting hundreds of millions in funding. So who is going to invent the technology that teaches the next generation? Is it going to be schools, or is it going to be the startups? Your question about what companies are going to be relevant. Is it going to be Microsoft, Apple, and Google, or is it going to be startups? Technology's never lost in this disruption game. Not once. Blockbuster died. Circuit City died. Eastman Kodak. Billions of dollars in this industry replaced by the 13 employees of Instagram. That disruption is coming. It's coming to your school. It's coming to every school. You have a choice now. My son is no longer in a school system. He takes all of his courses online at MIT, at Brigham Young. Brigham Young has got an amazing online course in English, right? All the way down to the 9th grade. If you think it's going to stop at the 9th grade, you're fooling yourself. So that's the opening, right? And that's you've trumped my talk now. Thank you very much. I'm glad I insulted your shirt before. Because that's what they're left with. When you can learn at home faster than you can learn at school, what else can schools offer? They can offer socialization. They can offer experiments, right? I predict within 5 years, all of your school is going to be laboratory equipment. All right, maybe 8 years. Because you can't get that at home, right? So your challenge is going to be to do here what schools, what you parents can't do at home and what kids can't do at home on their own. Because I don't know if you've taken this, but there are Udemy teachers who have 24,000 5-star ratings. The good teachers aren't teaching at schools anymore. The good teachers are realizing I can make $50,000 teaching at a school. I can make $250,000 putting my course online and making it really, really, really good. And as soon as you make teachers into entrepreneurs, they don't teach at schools anymore. We're going to struggle with this future, and it's going to be really, really interesting. And schools are going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to adapt quickly. When are you all ever going to stop having questions? All right, you ask. By the way, am I making you all think? That's my only purpose. I want you all thinking about this stuff. Your son. Yeah. And that's the answer, right? Her ability to learn is much more important than the things she's already learned. And so neuroscience is going to be the best friends of these teachers, right? How do you make people learn? I teach, by the way, if you're a Microsoft employee, I teach a course on how to learn and how to be creative. If you're a Google employee, I don't teach a course on that. Oh, yeah. That's it. All right, Kenji, you got me there, dude. Peace.
We're all sitting at home in our positions in the room. Are you going to be a fan of what's going to happen when you know you
But see, that's back to the socialization thing, that right? That there is going to be benefit to human-to-human contact. We hope. Otherwise, the machines really well and truly have taken over. When the fact that I have to be with you creates social anxiety, and it's like, oh man, he's got better shoes than me. He actually does have better shoes than me. Those are awesome, right? If we lose that, we've lost our ability to be human. Yes, sir. Last question. He said it, not me. Wait a minute. Somebody might have a better question than him, though. Raise your hand if you got the best question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's not true. I mean, you can, right? That's called lying, making data tell any story you want. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna allow you to ask the second part to this. But the data scientists are figuring this out. People like Nate Silver are telling the truth with data, and you see the Republican and the Democratic debates, and immediately the data scientists are what's true, what's not true. We're figuring this out, right? Because it's not the fact that he's the only one that has access to the data, therefore he gets to control the truth. We've all got access to it. We can all fact check. And so I believe we're safe there. But go ahead and finish your question. In fact, we excel at lying to ourselves. We excel at it. If we just keep those Syrians out, we'll be safe. We will. We really will. Don't record that. I have many Syrian friends. They are not the terrorists. Okay, so go ahead, finish your question. Oh man, don't put human evolution on my to-do list. Um, I think so, right? I mean, we are getting to the point where these borders are breaking down. We have no choice but to get along. We're going to be the only thing left. Otherwise, we give up to the machines. Because the machines are going to figure this stuff out for us, just like they're going to figure schools out for us. They're going to figure it out. Our question is, how do we remain relevant in this future? I don't think we remain relevant if we keep fighting. We just don't. Peace. Thank you all very much.